Bloomberg Audio Studios.
Podcasts, radio, news.
Jack Devine, with 32 years with the Central Intelligence Agency, he's written about it more on an international perspective and joins us this morning. Jack, honored that you're with us. You have a global CIA perspective. Does the FBI have the same acuity looking for the bad guys of terror in America that you had abroad?
I think that's a great question. I don't know if anyone knows the answer, but the FBI is really very strong at home. I mean, their ability to penetrate groups and collect information, use their powers and authority. When they leave the United States, then they're just like anyone else. It's very hard to do things in an overt way. So I think we're much stronger, and I think our ability to have sources everywhere, and I think things have improved very much between the FBI and the CIA. So it's not as if it's all compartmented.
My book of the year, at least a decade ago, Garrett Graff, we're efforting Mr. Graff for this conversation on the FBI. Jack Devine, does the CIA and the FBI, do they coalesce information daily to try to find bad guys like the guy in New Orleans?
I think it goes 24/7, all right? Now, the problem in this case is they didn't even have criminal records, right? So you don't know. I mean, it's it's an ocean full of fish, if you will. So, but their abilities and the speed with which we cover information and, AI in general is mind-blowing when you start to look at it. So the capabilities are rich, but it's the proverbial needle in the haystack, right? So all those that are sort of institutionalized, really organized by ISIS, they probably have a really good fix on that. But when you get to those that are inspired, hell, it could be anybody on a mountaintop who gets inspired, and it's really hard. But I think we're really in a much stronger position than we were, say, at the time of 9/11. No comparison.
Hey, Jack, President-elect Trump will be sworn in January 20th. Presumably shortly thereafter, he'll receive his first CIA briefing. What do you think the CIA is going to present to him in terms of priorities?
Well, he's been in the office before, right? So he knows the drill. He knows the capabilities. You don't have to sit down and say, let me explain that this is the presidential's daily brief. This is how it's collected. So I think first day he'll walk in the room. Actually, the president will be briefed substantially before he's sworn in. And it'll be closing gaps and filling in the new information. But, it's not like being president. Next thing you know, you turn around, you have a terrorist incident, and they almost are always required instantaneous information, new information. So my guess is they'll be bringing him the latest news that was on the major issues around the world that happened the night before. So you're right up to speed to the moment. It'll probably be a long session and probably include more than one briefer.
Jack Devine, 3 days of a condor is what we were weaned on. Sidney Pollack, the giant. What an honor to make his acquaintance. 3 days of a condor was what we were weaned on. And there's all the modern CIA movies, starting with a lot of techno whiz-bang. What do you think when you watch the modern CIA movies? What does Jack Devine think of those movies?
Well, I once had a conversation with Sean Connery about it, right? I made a mistake, though. I mentioned the Queen, and he told me immediately why. I'm a monarchist. But beside that, we talked about it, and I said, for years I diminished the importance of the movies, and then I realized everybody's thought the CIA people were omnipotent, were dashing and handsome, and that's not the case, Tom. But my point is, one of the things that I think are really interesting is many of the movies are a few years ahead, like the one Jason Bourne. And in Bourne, the technology was there, but it wasn't integrated, right? But when it was revisited, Jason Bourne, the material had been integrated. So there's a lot to learn from the technology. They bring in a lot of advisors. So television, it depends on the type and the quality of the program. The good ones really, particularly on technology, are good. It's the romantic part, and it's the CIA is bumping off people without all that junk, Hollywood junk. But if you look at the just core pieces of how things are done, it's pretty close.
Jack Devine, don't be a stranger. Thank you so much. Thank you for your public service to the nation. Mr. Devine out with a number of books.